it. And let's start with the biggest story of the day, and that is the news that Dewanna Bonner is no longer with the Indiana Fever. It was reported last night that Dewanna Bonner had no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and then the news broke today that the Indiana Fever had indeed waived Dewanna Bonner.
After just 9 games and barely 3 months with the franchise, veteran star Dewanna Bonner has officially been waived by the team, marking the end of what can only be described as a toxic relationship that threatened to derail the Fever's championship aspirations.
I think she played bad on purpose. She plummeted her stock to the point where it's not like we could trade her. It's official. It is official, y'all. We have waived Dewanna Bonner per a source. League sources told the Indy Star. And we're also re-signing Ari McDonald, which is good news. We all wanted Ari back, right? That's good news. But we got to tackle this Dewanna Bonner thing first. I think this was a scam. I think we just got hustled. And I think the fix was in on this from the beginning. From the beginning, bruh.
The writing was on the wall from the very beginning. What started as Indiana's marquee free agent signing quickly devolved into a cautionary tale about ego, expectations, and the dangerous chemistry that emerges when veteran players refuse to accept their changing roles in a rapidly evolving league.
Dewanna Bonner is officially done with the Indiana Fever. Now, DB has been out for the past 6 games for personal reasons, but other than that, the team has been pretty quiet on what exactly is going on, and there's been so much speculation around her absence. But the whole thing was just kind of bizarre, and a lot of Fever fans were speculating that we're not going to see her back. And just today, it was announced that she has no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and her preferred destinations are either Atlanta or the Phoenix Mercury. It's also been reported that the main reason that she wanted to leave is because things felt off from the beginning and she thought that she would be a starter. But if you guys remember, DB was starting in the beginning of the season and she honestly just wasn't playing her best, so Lexi Hall moved into that starting position.
Bonner's departure from Indiana represents far more than a simple roster move. This was a 2-time WNBA champion who signed with the Fever specifically to be part of something special, to help guide a young team built around the transcendent talent of Caitlin Clark. Instead, what we witnessed was a veteran player who couldn't stomach playing second fiddle to the league's brightest star, ultimately choosing to abandon her team rather than embrace a supporting role.
But I did hear that Dewanna Bonner was not exactly thrilled with the situation, and it may have been more basketball related than anything else, which appears to be confirmed by this news. And it's just a bummer. Let's call it a Dewanna Bonner bummer, because she didn't live up to the expectations for the team. Obviously, the situation didn't live up to her expectations. It creates more of a mess for the players who are still there. The coach who she coached before now has to deal with it. The franchise is left holding the salary cap space that Bonner eats up. And, you know, they have to adjust on the fly because the roster now needs to be improved.
The controversy erupted almost immediately after Bonner arrived in Indianapolis. Despite being brought in as a veteran leader expected to provide experience and basketball IQ, Bonner found herself relegated to the bench after just 3 games as a starter. Coach Stephanie White made the decision to replace her with Lexi Hull in the starting lineup, a move that clearly didn't sit well with the 37-year-old veteran.
Fit with the rotations of the team. She's upset that Lexi Hall took her spot. That's the truth. Little blonde girl from next door took her spot. That's what it was. Well, Lexi Hall is a good basketball player. I think she earned that spot, in my opinion, and she's shooting very well from the 3. She's an excellent 3-point shooter this season. She's a sniper this season. And she hustles, she gets rebounds, she gets steals. She puts her heart out every single game.
What followed was a pattern of behavior that can only be described as unprofessional. Bonner began missing games due to what the team diplomatically called personal reasons, but sources close to the situation painted a very different picture. This wasn't about family emergencies or health issues. This was about a player who had no interest in returning to play for the Fever after her role was diminished.
So the interesting part of all this was the personal reason stuff was a smokescreen. It was a cover-up. The timeline behind all this was Dewanna Bonner actually requested a trade. So trade requests are common. Well, if she requested a trade from me, that takes her out of the quitting proportion. I think what happened is her salary was so exorbitant that they could not find the right combo of value in the teams that could match the players to make those numbers match. And it only being 14 games into the season, there's not a lot of sample size of effectiveness, and I think it made the player evaluations kind of difficult for teams around the league.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. The numbers tell the story of Bonner's declining impact and growing frustration. After averaging double-digit scoring in each of her previous 15 WNBA seasons, Bonner managed just 7.1 points and 3.8 rebounds per game while shooting a dismal 34.5% from the field. Her playing time averaged just 21.3 minutes per game, the lowest since her rookie season in 2009. But the real controversy wasn't about statistics, it was about attitude. Multiple sources indicated that Bonner had requested a trade, with her preferred destinations being either the Phoenix Mercury or the Atlanta Dream. The fact that she would specifically target Atlanta, a team featuring Brittany Griner, raises serious questions about the toxic environment that certain veteran players seem determined to create around Caitlin Clark.
The champion has no interest in returning to play for the Fever. The same sources indicated Bonner's preferred landing spots are with the Phoenix Mercury, her boo thang, or the Atlanta Dream. Bonner's agent, Mike Kund, had no comment regarding his client's standing with the Fever. No comment is a comment. No explanation is an explanation. If we were trying to get back, we would have said, oh, we're trying to get back. We're trying to work some things out behind the scenes so both parties are satisfied moving forward. We don't even get that. That speaks volumes.
Brittany Griner's presence in Atlanta adds another disturbing layer to this developing narrative. The 6'9" center has already established herself as one of the most controversial figures in women's basketball, particularly in her interactions with Clark. The pattern of physical play that Griner has exhibited against Clark throughout their encounters has been particularly troubling. Multiple game analyses have documented unnecessary contact, elevated screens, and what basketball experts have characterized as targeting behavior toward the league's most marketable player. The fact that Griner's foul rate in games involving Clark significantly exceeds her season average suggests either poor game management or intentional targeting of the rookie sensation. Now, with Bonner potentially headed to Atlanta to join forces with Griner, the WNBA faces the prospect of two veteran players with documented issues regarding Clark coming together on the same roster. This represents a dangerous development for a league that has struggled to manage the controversies surrounding its biggest star.
I'm an athlete competing at the highest level. I'm a perfectionist, and you want to be really good every single night. And, when you're not, that can frustrate you. But I think it's just reminding yourself of why you play this game and, how much fun you've had doing it over the course of, however many years it's been since you were a little kid. So I don't think that's changed at all. That's the reason I still play. And, this is what I've always dreamed of. So, for me, it's just fun, and it's just a game at the end of the day.
And you hope Caitlin Clark can keep that energy the rest of the season. I think everybody wants to see that from her. But obviously, stuff like this gets to a team as well. Now, the question is, where do the Fever go from here?
The timing of Bonner's departure couldn't be more telling. Despite the Fever's struggles early in the season, the team had begun to find its rhythm, particularly after Clark's return from injury. The team's 94-86 victory over the Seattle Storm on June 24, a game played without Bonner, showcased exactly what the Fever could accomplish when freed from the toxic dynamics that had been plaguing the locker room. In that crucial win, Clark may have scored just 6 points, but her leadership and playmaking abilities were on full display as she dished out 9 assists and grabbed 3 steals. More importantly, her teammates thrived without the distraction of Bonner's presence, with Aaliyah Boston recording a career-high 31 points, Kelsey Mitchell adding 26 points, and Lexi Hall contributing 15 points.
Obviously, there were reports today that DB isn't or doesn't intend to return to the team. Just what conversations have you had with her and with the front office about that?
Yeah, I had a lot of conversations recently, really been focused on the group that we have right here and what we need to do to position ourselves to win.
So I'm here with, who's going to be here with me, who's going to be in the trenches with me, because Dewanna Bonner kind of quit. I don't know if there's a better word for it. She kind of quit.
The contrast is stark and undeniable. Without Bonner's disruptive influence, the Fever looked like a completely different team, more cohesive, more focused, and more capable of executing at the highest level. The toxic cloud that had been hanging over the franchise finally lifted, allowing the young core to play with the freedom and confidence that had been missing for weeks. Bonner's behavior throughout this entire saga has been particularly disappointing given her status as a respected veteran. This is a player who ranks third all-time in WNBA scoring, a six-time All-Star who has won 2 championships. Yet when faced with a reduced role, rather than embracing the opportunity to mentor young players and contribute to a championship-caliber team, she chose to quit. The statement released by Bonner following her waiver was carefully crafted, but couldn't hide the underlying selfishness of her actions. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, she said, attempting to paint the situation as a mutual misunderstanding rather than acknowledging her own refusal to adapt to a changing role.
I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group of young players. Man, whatever, bro. We should have held her hostage. You ain't going nowhere. How about that? You gonna sit out your 16th season in? How about that? What, man? Get her up out of here. Can Bree Turner be next? I want all them Connecticut's. Get them up out of here. Pack them up. Get them up out of here. Natasha Howard can go too.
But the reality is much simpler than Bonner's diplomatic language suggests. She couldn't accept that Caitlin Clark was the face of the franchise, the player around whom the entire organization would be built. Rather than embracing her role as a veteran mentor and contributor, Bonner wanted to be the queen, the primary option, the player receiving the lion's share of attention and accolades. Clark's emergence as not just a rookie sensation but a legitimate MVP candidate has been one of the most remarkable stories in WNBA history. She leads early fan voting for the All-Star Game with over 515,000 votes, demonstrating the unprecedented connection she has forged with basketball fans. Her impact extends far beyond individual statistics. Clark has transformed the Fever from a bottom-dwelling franchise into a legitimate playoff contender. The numbers supporting Clark's MVP candidacy are overwhelming. She's averaging career highs of 19.9 points per game and 8.7 assists, while leading a dramatic improvement in team performance. More importantly, she has brought an entirely new audience to women's basketball, with games featuring Clark drawing significantly higher television ratings and attendance figures than contests without her presence.
You guys defend because y'all hate Clark and the Fever that much. Oh, Dewanna Bonner wanted to get out of there because it was toxic. And she heard the racist chant it was on. It wasn't none. There was nothing found in the investigation, man. It was all bullshit. For y'all to keep sitting up here trying to paint this fan base like it's so toxic, man. Dewanna Bonner, you're fucking ass for this. No respect. All respect lost, man. Pathetic, bro. Did you just come here to stake it up on purpose? See, this is why I keep saying, man, if players, how they act on the court is who they are. When she did that shit with Clark last season in the playoffs, having that attitude, swiping at her like that, it explains everything. All that fake ass shit, oh, you want to help build a championship team and you praising Clark and praising this and praising that just to fucking quit?
This is the player that Bonner couldn't bring herself to support. Rather than recognizing the once-in-a-generation talent sitting in the locker room next to her, Bonner chose to see Clark as a threat to her own legacy and playing time. The veteran's inability to embrace a mentorship role speaks volumes about her character and priorities. The transformation of the Fever without Bonner has been remarkable to witness. The team's chemistry has improved dramatically, with players no longer walking on eggshells around a disgruntled veteran who had made her unhappiness known to everyone in the organization. Coach Stephanie White no longer has to manage the delicate balance of keeping Bonner engaged while building the team around Clark's transcendent abilities.
I thought Lexi Hull was incredible in that third quarter, just finishing at the rim, hitting threes on both baselines, running the floor, defending, and really showing why she took Dewanna Bonner's position. And I think a lot of people are going to have to reckon with that. Like, you see Lexi Hull and it's like, well, you know, who is Lexi Hull in comparison to Dewanna Bonner, this Hall of Famer, this legend? It's like, it's 2025, you know, it's a new day. And, you know, for this squad, Lexi was the right choice. And at the beginning of the year, I said Lexi Hull coming off the bench was a it was like a strength, and it was like found money, because like she already has all the experience starting last year. To move her to a bench role, she's like way overpowered in that role, and then it turned out to correct itself.
Perhaps most importantly, the toxic atmosphere that had been poisoning the Fever's locker room has been eliminated. Young players like Aaliyah Boston and Lexi Hull are now free to develop their games without the constant drama and distraction of veteran dissatisfaction. The team can finally focus on basketball rather than managing personalities and egos. The decision to re-sign Ari McDonald immediately after waiving Bonner sends a clear message about the type of culture the Fever are trying to build. McDonald, who averaged 11 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals during her time with the team, represents everything that Bonner was not. A player willing to embrace her role, contribute wherever needed, and support the team's overall goals.
Man, somebody that waited patiently and wanted to be here, man. Get that string bean, paper clip built ass Dewanna Bonner up out of here. That's why you got waived. And we brought back Miss Ari McDonald, who made more of an impact on the hardship deal than your goofy ass did the few games that you played, Goofy. Ari, it's lit, man. Man, we happy as hell to have you back, man. You made such a good impression. You brought such a spark to this team. That dog mentality that we really need on the Indiana Fever, man. It's about to be lit.
Looking ahead, the prospect of Bonner joining Griner in Atlanta creates a potentially toxic combination that could spell trouble for the WNBA's overall growth and development. Two players with documented issues regarding Caitlin Clark coming together on the same roster represents a dangerous concentration of negative energy that could further poison the league's relationship with its biggest star. The WNBA cannot afford to allow veteran players to create a hostile environment around Clark, particularly given her unprecedented impact on the league's popularity and commercial success. The numbers are clear. Games featuring Clark draw audiences 3 times larger than contests without her involvement, creating an economic dependency that makes protecting the league's biggest star a business imperative. The Atlanta Dream's decision to potentially pursue Bonner despite her recent behavior raises questions about the organization's priorities and values. Are they more interested in adding talent regardless of character concerns? Or do they recognize the importance of maintaining a positive culture that supports the league's growth?
So Dewanna Bonner pulls one of the weakest moves in sports history and quits on the Indiana Fever, not even halfway through the season, man. Your ass couldn't hit the fucking side of a barn and was stinking it up every game, and you're mad about a starting spot or some bullshit? Completely lost all respect for your punk ass, man. And now your preferred destination is the Phoenix Mercury and the Dream. Oh, what? So you could go back with Alyssa Thomas and Scissor? What the fuck kind of bullshit is this? And then all the people that hate Caitlin Clark so much, the Black Clan and Black Clan Panders, are sitting here supporting this weak-ass move. Y'all call yourselves real so much and all this bullshit, and you're defending a player quitting.
The early returns suggest that several teams have been advised not to claim Bonner off waivers specifically because of her stated preference for joining Phoenix or Atlanta. This unprecedented situation demonstrates the level of concern throughout the league about Bonner's behavior and the potential disruption she could cause to team chemistry. The Phoenix Mercury, despite their connection to Bonner through her fiancée Alyssa Thomas, have reportedly expressed concerns about how her addition might disrupt the strong dynamic developing among their core players. Even teams with personal connections to Bonner are hesitant to take on the baggage that comes with her acquisition. This hesitancy from potential suitors speaks volumes about how Bonner's behavior in Indiana has been perceived throughout the league. When veteran executives and coaches are reluctant to add a player of Bonner's caliber due to character concerns, it suggests that her actions have crossed a line that most professional organizations are unwilling to tolerate.
The situation we're looking at now is that teams will have 48 hours to pick Bonner up off of waivers, but there are only 2 teams with the cap space to do so: the Golden State Valkyries and the Washington Mystics. Another note to this whole picking Bonner up off of waivers or not is multiple sources have indicated that Bonner is not going to be picked up off of waivers because teams have been advised not to do so. Why would that be the case? Bonner's in her 16th season in the WNBA. Now you may be wondering why that matters. Well, I say that to say that when you're a player of her stature, again, a 2-time WNBA champion, you do have some say in where you end up.
The contrast between the Fever's performance with and without Bonner couldn't be more stark. During her time away from the team due to personal reasons, Indiana played some of their best basketball of the season. The team's ball movement improved, defensive intensity increased, and most importantly, the overall chemistry and energy reached levels that had been absent during Bonner's tumultuous tenure. Clark's emergence as an MVP candidate has coincided directly with Bonner's departure from the team. This is not a coincidence. It's a direct result of removing a toxic presence that was undermining the team's culture and preventing young players from reaching their full potential. The leadership vacuum left by Bonner's departure has been filled, naturally, by Clark, who has embraced her role as the face of the franchise and the player around whom the organization's future will be built. Unlike Bonner, Clark has shown a willingness to put team success ahead of individual accolades, making the players around her better while elevating the entire organization.
Now we just waived her. We got nothing for her. We got zilcho, nothing. And she gets to walk and choose where she goes. Come on, man. Come on, man. This is a joke. For you guys, the Indiana Fever waived Dewanna Bonner on Wednesday, re-signing Ari McDonald. Bonner has been away from the team since June 12th, missing 5 games for fake personal reasons. Wasn't nothing wrong. You was mad that you got benched, and you always was gonna find a way out no matter what, and we know that. Bonner did not intend to return to the Fever. In 9 games with the Fever, Bonner averaged 7 points, 4 rebounds in about 21 minutes. The 16-year veteran was a coveted free agent signing for the Indiana Fever and hopes she will bring some veteran leadership to a young core.
The Indiana Fever's decision to cut ties with Bonner, despite her status as an accomplished veteran, sends a powerful message about the organization's priorities. They have chosen to build around character, chemistry, and commitment rather than simply accumulating talent, regardless of fit or attitude. This decision has already paid dividends in terms of team performance and culture. The Fever look like a completely different organization without the toxic influence of a player who had made her dissatisfaction known throughout the locker room and organization. Young players are developing more quickly, team chemistry has improved dramatically, and the overall atmosphere around the franchise has become significantly more positive. As the WNBA continues to navigate this period of unprecedented growth and attention, the league must send a clear message that professional behavior and team-first attitudes will be rewarded, while selfishness and toxic behavior will not be tolerated. The Fever's handling of the Bonner situation provides a blueprint for how organizations should respond when veteran players prioritize personal agendas over team success.